Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora and welcome back to Dark Souls 2 Let's Talk Lore. This is episode 17, and I have on the docket for this episode, I have a little Word document that I keep going. I should probably switch to the rapier for this, just for taking care of the Aldian citizens if nothing else. Of the remaining episodes as I've kind of mapped them out tentatively. And I'm not going to get this one, am I? Oh, just in time. And for this episode I just have the Dragon Eyrie and Dragon Shrine, but I spent the time in the previous episode while I was doing the post-production on the audio. This is being recorded right after episode 16, but I took about half an hour to, clean up the audio and sync up the video, do the edits and everything with the loading screens. And in the meantime, while things were loading, because it takes quite a while on my outdated PC, I upgraded the rest of my armor, which means that I have virtually no need for anything in this area, crystal lizards or otherwise. So I'm just going to run through most of it because, as I mentioned, I don't know. I'm not all that knowledgeable about the significance of the dragons, other than the fact that they appear to be, like so many other things in the game, the product of Aldian experiments. So yeah, I'm just going to we're going to make short work of the Dragon Eyrie, and there are a couple things that we're going to stop for in the Dragon Shrine. But, yeah. No need to take out these drakes or dragons or anything. Whatever is it that they're supposed to be. Wyverns, so on and so forth. I might come back here and take care of everything off camera if I feel like I do need to farm for things. But at this point, I'm already at soul level 136, and I've got I suppose I could upgrade my bow, and my shield. I tend not to bother with upgrading shields because I don't generally use them for blocking, I only use them for parrying. And as far as I'm aware, upgrading your shield does nothing to help you with your parrying. So we're going to leave that for the time being, with the potential of one day returning to Dark Souls 2, perhaps when I've played enough Bloodborne to get bored of it, to come back for a in-depth run of the Scholar of the First Sin, the definitive version of Dark Souls 2. Speaking of which,
Young Hollow, how you grapple without falter with this dreadfully twisted world. Peace grants men the illusion of life. Shackled by falsehoods, they yearn for love, unaware of its grand illusion. Until the curse touches their flesh. We are bound by this yoke, as true as the dark that turns within men. All men trust fully the illusion of life. But is this so wrong? A construction of facade, and yet a world full of warmth and scandals. Young Hollow, are you intent on shattering the yoke, spoiling this wonderful falsehood? I am Aldia. I sought to shed the yoke of fate, but failed. Now, I only await an answer. Seek the throne. Seek light, dark, and what lies beyond.
So again, we have Aldia making it very explicit that we are pawns. And that the only thing that seems to keep humans going is, the idea of love. And things like that. Human constructions that, in this world at least, are all a facade. And just to add to the point about the Emerald Herald, Aldia, and I still don't quite understand his motivations. Because he seems to be goading you almost into the dark end, as it were. But he says, seek light, dark, and what lies beyond. And he has clearly embraced the chaos based on his appearance, and based on the fact that... Ouch. Oh, it staggered me. Switch the longsword for this. Longsword's probably better for this area. Judging by the fact that he seems to be everywhere and nowhere. Popping up from bonfires. You saw just there that he was a fair bit smaller than he was the first 2 times we spoke to him. And yeah, he seems to be connected to the world in a way that is simply not possible for the player to be connected to the world. Of course, let's see, Drakekeeper stuff. An extremely sturdy, pitch-black great axe. Colossal warriors staunchly watch over the shrine, ready to defend its resident, or allow one worthy enough to be granted an audience. Interesting. But yeah, long story short, I'm not really clear on what Aldia's intentions are. And it annoys me somewhat. It doesn't annoy me so much as it just does. With almost everything else in the game, I've had ample time to figure out to formulate my ideas and thoughts on what it is that certain things mean and the significance of character motivations and stuff like that. And then patch 1.1 gets thrown into the mix right before Bloodborne comes out. I buy PS4 and ouch, effectively leaving me having to figure it all out pretty quickly before that happens. And maybe we'll figure it out, or at least get a better idea before the end of this playthrough. Who knows? But I very much doubt that. My power, my lights just started flickering just now, so hopefully that's not an omen of things to come and a blackout. Used to hoping. I have also left... I did remember to turn off my cell phone's ringer, but I did leave the window open purposely, though. And so now we have the 3rd dragon ring. The description of which is exactly the same as the 2nd dragon ring. But yeah, it's a long story, but essentially the people who run my landlords, I guess, don't seem to understand how heating and air conditioning works vis-a-vis the inherent flaw in heating and air conditioning is that it doesn't account for human complexity of the sort that causes a person to open a window if it's too hot. But the problem is, if it gets hot outside, or if the temperature starts increasing outside and people open their windows, then the HVAC unit will work harder to meet the same setting by necessity of the windows being open and therefore colder wind being blown in through the windows. And so I'm constantly battling with the housing people at my university, trying to get them to understand that, yeah, you have to fiddle around with the settings. You have to set things manually. But in any case, the short version of this very long story is that I've kept the window open during this episode. First time I've done that, because generally when I record a 30 or 40 minute episode, it heats up in here considerably because I have the window closed, so as to ensure that the noises aren't picked up by my microphone. But then at the end of each recording session, I have to take a 10 or 15 minute break with the window open so as to cool down a little bit. So this is, again, another, I guess, test for Bloodborne to see if I'll be able to record with my window open. And so far, it sounds pretty good. And again, my post-production with the audio has been surprisingly easy to do. And surprisingly effective, using Audacity to remove any noise in the background. So we're not going to bother with any of these enemies. I'm going to sit up in my chair so that I don't die trying to run through all of them. So let's see how it goes. Need to conserve stamina, we just used all of it. Generally, as soon as you see the talk dialogue, those guys will go back. There they go. Except for this one. Okay. So, Ancient Dragon, who many of us in the community, I was rather convinced of this myself, figured that this was Aldia. But patch 1.1, again, coming in at the last minute, changing all of that. Thank you, Ancient Dragon, who we're not going to fight. Ashen Mist Heart. Manifestation of Ashen Mist, received from the Ancient Dragon. The magic of the Ancient Dragon allows one to delve into the memories of the Withered. So now that we've met the Ancient Dragon, we're going to go see if Nashandra has some new dialogue for us. See where she wants us to go next. And again, we have all these different people, in particular the Emerald Herald, Nashandra, and Aldia. All three of whom are funneling us towards the throne.
Brave undead. What did that dragon tell you? That thing is a prop, a false deity. Don't be fooled, my undead. Seek the forest, you, where those wretched giants slumber. Seek.
So again, being told where to go, what to do. So I guess, yeah, we have no choice but to listen. So we've returned to the forest where those wretched things slumber. The wretched giants, as Nishandra put it. And you'll notice a couple of black phantoms, and that's because, as I may have shown on camera, I believe I did, I came back and burned a bonfire ascetic in exchange for Titanite chunks. So we find ourselves in the memory of Vamar, which not presumably, it is the name of a giant. And then we find this dapper-looking fellow.
What are you doing here? You are not one of our soldiers, and I don't take you for a mercenary. Whoever you are, this is no battle to involve yourself in. Whether you are guided by bravery or brashness, this is no place for you. I am Drummond, and the Lord has placed this fort in my hands. Whoever you are, I forgive your trespass. But leave this place immediately. Just mention my name, and no man will challenge your exit. And even if you don't, by now, my men have not the will to resist. Soon, the giants will descend upon this fort. It is revenge for the kingdom's misguided barbarism. The venerable Lord built this kingdom to bring prosperity to his subjects. What has transformed him so, I cannot imagine. Long ago, the king crossed the seas, pillaged the land of giants, and brought back a prize. It was then that the golems materialized. The giants are no ordinary barbarians. A singular rage burns within their hearts. My father and his father both fought the giants on this very land. The giants have wills of steel. They cannot find it within themselves to forgive the misdeeds of our Lord.
So once again, we see a straight line staring us right in the face. Again, in hindsight. Hindsight is 20/20, yes. But of King Vendrick crossing the sea, defeating the giants, bringing back a prize, and it was then that the golems materialized. So again, he enslaved the giants, brought them back, and turned them into golems, building much of the kingdom with those giants. And I can hear birds chirping outside. It's a pleasant noise, but I hope you'll forgive me if I can't edit that out in post-production.
Did you see him? That towering monster among them. That is most certainly their king. He will be a thing to topple. even if I should die trying. My blade may break, my arrows fall wide, but my will shall never be broken. Those who live by the sword will die by it, and I, Drummond, won't go down without drawing mine.
So he's speaking, of course, of the Giant Lord, or the Last Giant, depending on the time in which you fight him. And I also forgot to mention that in his last bit of dialogue, he mentioned that he is, I believe, third generation member of this war. So you really get an idea, and especially just with the sheer... Oh, the Ashen Mist is thinning, so we might have to return if we get kicked out. But of the time scale involved, this war has been going on for generations, and is just not looking good. Again, the common people suffering because of the political, militaristic machinations of Drang Lake's elite.
Be gone with you. This fort will soon fall. Be gone before the giants are in...
You would think that they would at least extend the time that you can remain in the memory that has this character with all this interesting dialogue, but I guess not.
Be gone with you. This fort will soon fall. Be gone before the giants are entirely upon us. Be gone with you. Be gone.
Okay, we will return and speak with Drummond again. There's a fire seat around the corner there, not going to bother with that. I've always more or less just ran through this area, and in hindsight, I'm very proud of that decision, because I just feel like... And I mean, it's hard to see the giants as sympathetic creatures. They have holes in their face. They don't actually have faces. They just have holes in their faces. This is the Blossom Kite Shield. But as is evidenced by the names, and I'm sure I'm missing good items in here, and that I generally do, but that's fine. But as evidenced by the names of all of the different giant memories, yeah, the giants have names. They have presumably personalities, presumably families, and they're essentially most of their race was imprisoned not imprisoned, enslaved by Vendrick. Pretty awful. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it yet, but episode 13 seems to have uploaded with no problems. So here's to hoping that whatever issues YouTube was having, and it wasn't just me, because I spent a fair bit of time Googling it and seeing what other people were saying about it. And it was... Wow, I've never been hit by one of those ballistas. That was pretty cool, though. Come on, guys. Only you could hear what I was saying about you, and how we should all be sympathetic to your cause. I know, much I didn't explore here, but sorry. This is going to be a fun episode to edit with all of these cuts and loading screens. Before we take on the Giant Lord, we're going to take out the two elite giants, which are for some reason down here. I have no idea why that might be. This is kind of strange in that I think this is the only item, or the only corpse in the game that doesn't have an item on it. So I don't know what to think about that. I'm going to more or less cheese these giants. Ouch. Can't quite remember what's in here. A ring of some sort? Ah, Ring of Giants. So if we want more poise, we have it, but with the weight of that ring, there might be fat rolling. Where's your buddy? There he is. Sorry guys, I'm only killing you because I have to. Prior to patch 1.1, you could burn a bonfire ascetic in the hidden chamber bonfire, I believe, and reset these guys in order to get an additional giant soul, because 5 giant souls will lower Vendrick's defenses completely. And in order to get the 5th, you were meant to have to fight the Ancient Dragon, which I don't particularly have a fun time doing, so I tend not to. But they've since patched that so that you can't just burn a bonfire ascetic and kill these guys a number of times. I'm going to grab some silver talisman over here, one of my favorite items in the game, and then we're going to take on the Giant Lord. I can't recall if I've taken out the 2 Black Phantoms that are guarding the King's Gate. They're only there, of course, on Bonfire Intensity 2 and above. Oh. I swear I hit the left trigger there, but it didn't register for some reason. It's the Soul of the Lost Undead. So we might have an interesting fight upon us. No, I did not take them out. So you should be able to aggro just the one who's in your line of sight. Let's poison him. I'm just going to try and parry him, but of course you can't parry. And so, further again, additional evidence supporting the theory that there's a connection between the mastodons ouch. And I can hear sirens outside now, so that's good. Further support for the idea that the Mastodons are, the Primal Knights are kind of a halfway point between the Cyan Knights and the Looking Glass Knight, or Sir Cyan himself and the Looking Glass Knight. That's, Black Phantom is wielding... What am I looking for here? I need resonance. That Black Phantom is wearing the Cyan set, but carrying the Mastodon shield. Oh, and then I just canceled out my buff. Smart, Aegon. It's very smart. Alright, let's cheese this guy. Where you going? Where you going, buddy? Sorry. His friend is a great deal easier to deal with because he actually has a parryable weapon. But in the interest of not dying again and having to take longer for this episode, which is already going a very long time. Oh. Hey, buddy. I'm opening the King's Gate here. Do you not care? Alright, see you later. No. Oh, he sees me. Light the bonfire! Okay, not sure what happened there, but I'll take it. A couple of twinkling Titanites down there, but I'm not going to bother grabbing them. I don't need them. Yeah, we're not going to summon Benhart or Drummond. So be it if I don't get Benhart's armor and stuff. Like I said, I don't find his story particularly interesting. Oh, for some reason did not see that coming. Wow, his animations are really glitchy. And I keep getting caught up on his skirt. Got really lucky with that first dodge, not so much for the second one though. Whoa! I've never seen that move before. How did I miss that? Wow. Something broke the Giant Lord. So some very familiar architecture and whatnot here, which you might remember from the first couple of episodes of the series. In particular, when I stood right here, and I said, yeah, this is where you fight the Giant Lord if you're a caster. That over there is the head that's rolled over. That's the fog gate, where you enter to fight the pursuer. You fight the pursuer right around here, at the center of the screen. The tree for the memory is somewhere on the other side of that head there. Oh no, wait, I have it backwards actually. So which one is... because the tree would be right about there. I'm going to need to do a comparison video or something, because I'm actually confusing myself now. Wow, that guy...
Take these. I think you may just need them. Don't ask me why. I just do.
Dranglake Helm. A traditional Dranglake helmet belonged to Captain Drummond. In his day, King Vendrick was fair and just, and expected the same of his liegemen. This helm was proof of King Vendrick's trust, an honor until his transfiguration. So that leaves us with one final thing to do before calling it an episode. And that is to discuss a potential paradox. And that is, well, I'm not sure if it's so much a paradox as it is just very interesting and a very compelling demonstration of the power of implicit storytelling once again, and the idea that you don't need to spell everything out to the player in order for a story to work. So this body right here, this, it would seem, is the spot or around the spot where we were just standing in the memory. Because this is Drummond's equipment, sans helmet. Why no helmet? Because he gave it to you. Traditional Drangleic armor belonged to Captain Drummond. Drummond's ancestors have served Drangleic for generations, principally as defenders of the Great Fort, but Captain Drummond is the last in this proud line. Let's see if, no, same thing. So, that right there is the reason why you don't find the helmet there. That he gives it to you in the memory. Which essentially shows that the memories are not so much, you're not so much reliving a memory in dream format. You are actually affecting space and time, and causality, and things that happen in the past in these memories affect the future. So when you killed the Giant Lord, and in the beginning of the game when you fight the last giant, the reason he rages at the sight of you is the fact that you were the one who killed him. All those, eons, centuries, millennia, however long the time scale involved is, it was you that killed him. And then all of a sudden you walk into his prison, where he was dragged after you defeated him. So, very interesting, confusing, mind-bending stuff. And in particular, just the whole... Because it confused me at first when I started playing this game. Like, why is there no helmet here, and why does he get... And one day it just clicked. I'm like, wow, that's so... It's such a simple explanation, but one that eluded me for quite some time. But I believe that's going to do it for this episode. My timer's at about 47 minutes, but with the sheer amount of loading screens in this episode, I imagine it'll be closer to 40 minutes, but we'll see what happens. But I hope you enjoyed. In the next episode, we're going to go visit Vendrick once again. And so things are really going to be picking up from here until the end of the series. And so I hope you will continue to join me so that you can see how things wrap up. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.